Hi everyone, I'm Bill Sheridan with the Maryland Association of CPAs, and there's a revolution afoot these days in the ways that we communicate with one another. And yeah, in the last few years, a lot of the buzz in this area is kind of centered on social media, but the revolution that I'm talking about has very little to do with social media. In fact, it's all about these things: cell phones, smartphones, mobile devices of all kinds. They're fundamentally changing the ways that we communicate with one another. And I'm not just talking about the phone either. I'm talking about things like email and social networks, texting, video conferencing, web-based communications of all kinds. They're all being done on these mobile devices. And it is simply astounding how quickly these devices have really become ingrained into our culture. And I'll give you an example. There are more mobile devices in use today than there are toothbrushes. And as crazy as that sounds, that's where we are today. And the revolution isn't over either. Mobile itself will be undergoing some pretty radical changes over the next few years. And that's going to have huge implications for the ways that we do business with our employees, with our customers and members, with all those audiences. I had the privilege of attending the 2011 Digital Now conference in Orlando, where Tomi Ahonen talked at length about the mobile movement. Tomi is a former Nokia executive and one of the world's leading experts in mobile trends and strategies. He says that mobile is so big that it's actually become the world's seventh mass medium, following print, recordings, cinema, radio, TV, and the internet, and now mobile. And where it's going from here, well, he's got some pretty big ideas about that as well. And I actually had a chance to sit down with Tomi after his keynote and talk about a few of these things. Here's what he had to say.
Just in general, how big has mobile gotten? Give me some examples of how fast this has grown.
Very good. First of all, for your audience, it's very normal to be surprised at how big mobile has become. Because just a few years ago, mobile was just another technology, similar roughly in size to the internet, similar roughly in size to personal computers, to televisions, to credit cards, to these kind of things that we're familiar with. Suddenly, over the last 5 years, the mobile industry has exploded. Today, the planet, with 7 billion people, has 5.3 billion active mobile phones in the first quarter of 2011. Compare that with 2 billion internet users, 1.7 billion television sets, 1.2 billion personal computers. Even if we take the total number of internet users and the total number of personal computers and the total number of televisions and add them together, mobile is bigger. 5.3 billion active users, paying customers for the mobile industry. But it's not just the size. It is also how addicted we are to this technology. The average person looks at his mobile phone 150 times per day. Nokia study from last year. Average person on the planet. That means that for every waking hour, you are looking at that phone once every 6.5 minutes. So it's not just the widest reaching technology, it is now a completely immersive technology that we cannot live without. It's not just the voice calls, it is the text messages, it is the smartphone applications, it is our calendar, it is our watch. People are stopped wearing watches, they use their alarm clocks to wake up in the morning, they have their pictures, they have their videos, they have just on and on and on. So we have 150 reasons to look at that phone every day.
And yet, I think for a lot of business folks, they look at that phone and say, well, it's just my phone. So why should, associations and our members or people in business, why should they care? What's in it for them?
Very good question. So here, again, we have several technologies we could compare it to. The traditional landline phone, the personal computer, the internet, and then there's the mobile phone. They're theoretically equivalent. But in reality, we notice that out of all of these technologies, people are increasingly placing the mobile phone as their most valued form of communication. So, valued device. For very many people, only 3 things that you have to have with you when you leave your home. You have to have your keys, you have to have your wallet, and you have to have your mobile phone. The other things are not that necessary. And if the emergency happens that you forgot your wallet, you're not going to turn your car back to go get it. Or if you forgot your keys, you'll call your wife, but you're not going to turn the car back to go get your home keys. But if you forgot your mobile phone, now you're turning back. You have to get it. You cannot imagine going through the day without your mobile phone. For most people, this is increasingly the level of addiction that we are finding with the mobile phone. And it will only get worse as we get more and more of our involvement coming into the mobile phone. So now the latest trend is that the mobile phone is starting to be a payment mechanism. 11% of Americans already make mobile banking and mobile payment activities on their mobile phone. Kenya is so far that 30% of the total Kenyan economy, the total GDP, transits a mobile phone. Money is migrating to the mobile phone. How important will this device, and how many times will we pull it out of our pocket when it becomes also truly our paycheck comes there, we pay our taxes on it, our mortgage on it, our fuel bill on it. So it just adds and adds to our use of that device.
Looking at those numbers and how addictive these devices are, what kind of opportunities exist for businesses nowadays? When you look at mobile devices, how can they take advantage of all that?
Very, very good. I like to look at the areas so that if we look at business processes, which would be relatively uniform across all industries or all kind of organizations. So we have first of all the need of communicating with our customers. Marketing, communication, advertising, customer care, that kind of things. The mobile advertising industry doubled in size during the economic crisis of 2009. All other advertising revenues declined, but mobile advertising doubled. In 2010, it doubled again. This year, everyone is saying that they are doubling their investment in mobile. Coca-Cola is doubling their investment in mobile. Domino's Pizza. Ford said that they will make mobile the centerpiece of every advertising campaign from now on. Mobile is the cornerstone of every advertisement they do anywhere on the planet. So on the communication side, mobile is taking center stage. In Japan, it has been center stage for many years. The rest of the world is starting to get there. But then let's take something a little bit different. How about inventory management? How many companies struggle with inventory management? We can bring mobile in here and suddenly make real-time inventory management completely different. Finnair, the airline from Finland, invented mobile phone check-in. Today, half of Finnair's flyers are using mobile phone check-in. That means that when Finnair has processed its passengers at the airport, and they are now going through security, half of those passengers are actively logged in, their mobile phone number is at the airline. They know which of them bought an economy class ticket, who bought a business class ticket, and then they have a mathematical system that calculates, oh, this airplane has still 5 business class seats left. And they start selling upgrades to the premium customers of their economy class. So the platinum level class customers get a $50 upgrade into business class. 1 or 2 are sold. The remaining seats are offered to the gold level members. They get a $75 upgrade. And again, they sell 1. And then the last seat is sold to the silver class premium levels, and they sell a $100 upgrade. Finnair adds to its profitability while managing its inventory. And this can only be done with mobile, because nothing else will catch the passenger when they're running through the airport, going through security and picking up some duty-free and sitting in the lounge. And we cannot hope to catch them with a notebook PC or Wi-Fi or digital radio or any other technology. But every passenger, an adult passenger who pays a ticket, will have a mobile phone in their pocket. Every one of them, therefore, can be talked to in this way.
Back to just mobile in general.
Yes.
And so many of us are working for small organizations, not a whole lot of manpower, not a whole lot of resources to throw at a new strategy like this. Where does somebody like that start to really wrap their brains and hands around something that's so fundamentally changing the way that we do things?
Very, very, very good. It does come back again to SMS text messaging and your membership. Barack Obama, when he built his campaign, the very first meeting of every local and state organization of the elect Obama campaign, the first meeting when people walked in, the organizer of the meeting told everyone, give your phone number and send a text message to here, and we send a text message back to you. We are registering you. If you haven't used it, we need to make sure that you know. Immediately, and after that's done, send one text message to one colleague who should be in this meeting now. Those who had never sent a text message learned immediately on how to use a text message. And suddenly the whole organization accelerated its speed. The regulator of New Zealand measured the difference. Standard email, PC to PC, not BlackBerry, standard email is opened in 48 hours, responded to in 48 hours. Standard SMS text message is responded to in 4 minutes. The speed advantage in making decisions, in communicating, can you be there, what time can you be, I'm going to be at the airport, I've changed appointment, can you take him to the airport, can you pick him up at the hotel, etc. The normal ping pong, if we normally do that in email and every response cycle, 48 hours, and back and forth and back, and we shrink that to 4 minutes, is a speed increase equivalent to crossing the Atlantic by sail ship 3 weeks, updated to flying across with the Concorde in 3 hours. That's the speed difference we're talking about. The moment people start using, in association with the colleagues, working with each other and communicating, when they notice how incredibly fast SMS is, there's no going back. It's been proven at university studies to be addictive. The cost is minimal. Every message costs, and in most cases, some people have all-you-can-eat data plans, so SMS is all-you-can-eat SMS plans or a large bucket of SMSs. In most cases, you'll have to pay 10, 12 cents per message, but for most people, that is so much below the pain threshold that we don't worry about 20, 30 text messages a month. Then when it gets to be 1,000 messages, then we'll be a little bit alarmed at the phone bill. But the couple of dozen per week, it's not going to kill us. Not adults. Some volunteer students on a very tight budget, but they will have the right messaging packages anyway. And then definitely understand if you're at all in the kind of industry where BlackBerries are prevalent, BlackBerry Messenger is a supercharged SMS. So as long as both parties have BlackBerries, it's even faster than SMS.
We all know how quickly things are evolving now, especially in the way of technology. How do you see mobile evolving as time goes on?
Oh, a difficult question. We know for sure Moore's law will continue. I did a calculation for some application developer community in Finland. What's going to happen to smartphones during this decade? By the end of this decade, the cost to manufacture an equivalent phone to the most expensive smartphones today, iPhone 4, your BlackBerry Bold, your top HTCs or Samsung Galaxies or whatever is your favorite smartphone today. To produce the same phone, the silicon, the hardware, the screen, the connectivity, etc., will cost $10 to sell profitably. So today, if you take away the subsidy and take away the contract, the phone costs $600. But 1 decade later, it costs $10. Now, obviously, the smartphone of 2020 will be a super phone. It will not be what is our iPhone today. But for those people who are poor today who cannot afford a high-end phone, they can get a nice 3.5-inch screen, a 3G phone with Wi-Fi, with an 8-megapixel camera, with a flash, with a media player, with full internet. All of this for the equivalent price of $10, sold profitably towards the end of this decade. So one thing we can be sure, we're getting Moore's law. It means that the actual super phones, they will be embedded in our tooth, or there'll be chips that are in our body. We'll have some electronics into our clothing, so we will have nice screens that we can watch. Today we see the Pico projector phones, we see the 3D screens, we need to see the high capacity processors with the dual processors, things like this that are already reality today. what happens in the next 5 years? We're going to get something like what we saw with the social networking revolution, Facebook. Something similar to that will come during this decade that no forecaster and futurist could have imagined, and it will shake up the world at least as much as the Facebooks and Twitters and YouTubes and CNN iReports changed this decade or this past decade. And so that's the kind of stuff that no one can say. But sitting in the middle of that, there will be that digital device in our pocket, the mobile phone. So it will be eating the lion's share of that opportunity.